What if the moment you walked away was the moment she finally saw your worth? Not when you gave her everything, not when you begged, not when you stayed through the lies, the disrespect, the slow bleed of your self-worth. No, she saw it when you went quiet, when you stopped explaining, when you disappeared. That's when it hit her, that you were real, that you were rare, that you were gone. She never thought you'd actually leave. She thought you'd wait, thought you'd chase, thought you'd always be there, waiting like a loyal dog outside a door that would never open. But you didn't. You made a different move, the move no one expects. You chose yourself. That's the day the power shifted, the day she lost control. See, heartbreak is a test, not a tragedy. The Stoics knew it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And this pain, it's not weakness, it's fuel. She thought she broke you. Nope. She forged something colder, harder, smarter. She made a man who doesn't beg for love. He attracts it by needing nothing. And now, she's watching. And now, you're not watching her. If you're done being the one who begs, if you're ready to become the one who walks, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She lost me the moment I found myself. Number 1, the illusion of forever. You believed her when she said always. You thought love meant permanence, that what you had would weather every storm just because your heart was in it. But forever is a fantasy when only one person is doing the work. She didn't love you the way you loved her. She loved the comfort, the validation, the attention. And when it stopped feeding her ego, she drifted. Slowly at first, then all at once. You didn't see it coming because you were loyal, because you confused consistency with connection. But here's the truth. People don't leave because they fall out of love. They leave because they think they can do better. And when they think you'll never leave, they stop trying. She assumed your love was eternal, unconditional, indestructible. She mistook your kindness for weakness. She thought your patience was permission. But here's what the Stoics teach us. Attachment is the enemy of clarity. When you're too close, you don't see the cracks. You rationalize, you defend, you suffer, and call it love. But suffering is not proof of loyalty. Suffering is proof of self-neglect. You broke the illusion the moment you stopped begging for a forever that was never real. That's when the healing began, not when she apologized, not when she texted, but when you saw the truth. She didn't lose you when she walked away. She lost you the moment she believed you'd never walk too. Number 2, you taught her how to treat you. Every time you stayed silent when she disrespected you, you taught her that it was okay. Every time you forgave without change, you taught her that your boundaries were optional. You didn't even realize it, but you were writing the script she followed, one where your time was cheap, your love was guaranteed, and your self-worth was negotiable. You thought patience would inspire change. Nope, it inspired entitlement. She didn't see you as a strong man who loved deeply. She saw you as a soft man who feared loss. That's when she started testing limits, late replies, flaky behavior, flirting with disrespect. And every time you looked the other way, you confirmed her suspicion that you were more afraid of losing her than she was of losing you. The Stoics understood this dynamic. Epictetus said, "A man is not hurt by the things that happen, but by his opinion of them." You weren't destroyed by her actions. You were destroyed by your reaction. You allowed it. You enabled it. Because you thought love meant self-sacrifice. But love without respect is just slow self-destruction. The day you drew the line, the day you stopped explaining yourself and started enforcing your worth, was the day everything shifted. She didn't recognize that version of you. And deep down, it scared her. Because you stopped being predictable. You stopped being controllable. Number 3, the shift when you went quiet. She expected noise, anger, arguments, paragraphs of pain. That's what most men do when they're hurt. But not you, not this time. You didn't yell, you didn't beg, you didn't even explain. You went quiet, and that silence hit harder than anything you could have said. Because silence says, "I've seen enough." It says, "I no longer need closure." And most of all, it says, "You're not worth another word." That silence, it created distance, mystery, power. It made her question everything, because now you weren't giving her emotions to feed off. You weren't showing your wounds. You were calm, cold, unreachable. The Stoics called this control over the passions. Seneca wrote, "He who angers you conquers you." But you weren't conquered. You were calculating. You understood that silence creates curiosity, and curiosity creates discomfort, especially in someone who thought they owned your emotions. She wanted a reaction to feel relevant again. But you didn't give her the satisfaction. You let her sit in the void she created, and that void grew louder every day you stayed silent. It haunted her, because silence is reflection, and now all she could hear was the echo of your absence and the weight of her own choices. Number 4, she waited for you to chase her. She pulled away expecting the same tired routine. Distance was her game. Push-pull, hot-cold. She wanted to test your devotion, wanted to feel powerful. She thought, "He'll come running. He always does." That was the plan, until you didn't move. You didn't text. You didn't double back. You didn't ask what went wrong. You let the silence stretch. And that's when the fear crept in, because she realized something terrifying. Her control was gone. The attention she fed on, gone. The emotional grip she had on you, gone. You flipped the script, not by playing harder, but by refusing to play at all. The Stoics knew the strength of restraint. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." You didn't get petty. You didn't react. You got still. While she played childish games, you played the long game. You didn't try to prove your worth. You made her question hers. And that question started eating her alive. Because now she was the one checking the phone, stalking your socials, asking mutual friends. You stopped orbiting her world, and suddenly hers felt smaller. She thought you'd come crawling. Instead, you stood still. And stillness in the face of manipulation is devastating. Number 5, the void, when she started noticing. At first, she didn't feel it. She thought your silence was temporary, a phase, just another emotional stunt. But days turned into weeks, and the absence started to sting. She'd check her phone at night, expecting your name. Nothing. Scroll her stories, hoping to catch your attention. Still, nothing. That's when the void began to grow. Because she didn't just miss your presence, she missed the reflection of herself she saw through your eyes. The compliments, the admiration, the certainty that someone out there saw her as everything. Now, there's just quiet. There's just space. And that space, it started whispering truths she didn't want to hear. See, detachment isn't just about walking away. It's about leaving a space behind that no one else can fill. The Stoics called it apatheia, freedom from emotional disturbance. You didn't just pull away emotionally, you disappeared mentally, spiritually, energetically. You reclaimed your soul, and now she's stuck in a room where the energy used to be electric, and now it's cold. You became the ghost that haunts her, not because you begged, but because you left no trace, no drama, no explanation, just distance. And in that distance, she started to realize she didn't just lose a man, she lost a sanctuary, a sense of being deeply seen, and she'll never admit it, but she regrets it. Number 6, you were her mirror. Now you're a ghost. She used to see herself through you. Your eyes made her feel beautiful. Your presence made her feel chosen. Every compliment, every touch, every time you looked at her like she was the only woman in the world, she fed off it. You were her mirror, reflecting back an ideal version of herself. But now, that mirror is gone, shattered, silent. You're no longer there to validate the image she crafted. That's what hit her hardest. Not your absence, but the absence of how she felt around you. She didn't miss you. She missed who she was when you worshipped her. Now that you've pulled away, she's faced with something she tried to avoid all along. Herself. No praise, no pedestal, just raw reflection. And it's uncomfortable. You see, when you remove your energy from someone who depended on it for self-worth, you don't just create space, you create a crisis. The Stoics knew that we must never depend on external praise to define who we are. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You stopped reacting. You stopped feeding the illusion. And now, without your gaze, she doesn't know who she is. That glow she had, it was borrowed from your light. Now she's scrambling to find it again. But you're a ghost now, untouchable. You've detached with grace, not vengeance. And that silence, it screams louder than any goodbye ever could. Number 7, transformation in the silence. While she assumed you were hurting, breaking, unraveling, you were building. Quietly, methodically. In the shadows of that silence, you were rising. She thought your distance meant despair. Nope, it meant discipline, it meant growth. She thought the silence was empty, but for you it was sacred. You didn't just disappear, you evolved. The pain that should have broken you became fuel. You hit the gym harder. You sharpened your mind. You reconnected with your purpose. While she was out chasing temporary highs to fill a void, you were sculpting the version of yourself that would never need to beg again. And now, you've become the man she always wanted, but never thought you'd become without her. That's what burns the most, that you glowed up after she left, that she's watching the best version of you, one she doesn't have access to. The man you are now isn't texting her back. He isn't wondering what went wrong. He's too busy creating, elevating, dominating. She tried to break you, and instead you broke the limits she placed on you. The Stoics understood this rebirth through hardship. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your heartbreak wasn't a wall, it was the door, and now you've walked through it. Number 8, the return. But it's too late. They always come back. Not when you're broken, not when you're begging, but when you've leveled up and moved on. That's when she reappears. A hey stranger, a memory disguised as a message. She's fishing, not because she loves you, but because she feels your detachment. She wants to know if the door's still open, if she still has pull, if the strings she used to tug still reach your heart. But they don't, because you're not that man anymore. She left thinking you'd wait, that you'd pause your evolution for her return. But while she was distracted, you were transforming. And now, she's trying to reconnect with a man who no longer exists, the version of you that tolerated disrespect, that accepted breadcrumbs, that settled just to feel something. That man is gone, buried in silence, replaced by purpose. You see, she's not coming back because she loves you. She's coming back because she loved the version of herself she could control when she had you. But that control is gone. You've reprogrammed your mind, reinforced your standards, reinvented your identity. The same games won't work. The same charm has no effect. You see through it all now. The Stoics would call this true freedom, being unshaken by anything outside your control. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. All you need is the strength to keep the door closed when she knocks. Number 9. From pain to power. At first, the pain felt like death, like something vital had been ripped out of you. And in a way, it had. Not her, but the version of you that needed her. That clingy, desperate part that thought love had to hurt to be real. That version had to die so the real you could be born. Pain didn't destroy you. It exposed you. It stripped away the illusions, the softness, the false comfort. What was left? A man forged in fire. She thought you'd break, but pain is a blacksmith. It bends weak men, but it sharpens the ones who face it. You stopped running from it. You looked it dead in the face and said, "Let's go." You stopped numbing, stopped chasing distractions, and started choosing discomfort. Not for the suffering, but for the growth, because now you know. Comfort never changed you. Pain did. The Stoics taught that suffering becomes strength when you make it conscious. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." And now, the very thing that almost crushed you is the reason you walk taller, speaks sharper, moves smarter. She sees it in your eyes, calm, steady, untouchable. You no longer flinch, you no longer fold, because the pain that used to scare you now lives beneath your feet. You didn't just survive the loss, you used it. You didn't just recover, you rebuilt, and now you stand on a foundation she can't reach. Number 10. The Stoic Goodbye. You didn't need to scream. You didn't need a dramatic exit or a final monologue. You left the way real men do, quietly, completely, and without warning. That's the Stoic Goodbye. No theatrics, no need for closure. Just a calm, clean cut that leaves no loose ends. Not because you don't care, but because you've mastered the art of detachment. She never thought you'd actually leave. She thought she had time, thought she could disrespect you, disappear, double back, and you'd still be there. But the man who walked away this time wasn't looking for another chance. He was looking for peace, and he found it in distance. This goodbye wasn't about punishing her. It was about honoring yourself. You didn't just say goodbye to her. You said goodbye to the version of you that tolerated her, to the insecurity, the desperation, the constant need for her approval. You buried that man. And what rose in his place? Someone dangerous, calm, centered, stoic. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." And that's exactly what you're doing now. You're not bitter, you're better. Not because she changed, but because you did. You've become the kind of man who doesn't chase love. He attracts it by being complete on his own. And that, more than anything, is what she regrets. That she lost a man who never needed her to begin with, just wanted her. And once the wanting stopped, so did everything else. You see, the power was never in getting her back. It was in never needing her again. That's the lesson most men never learn. They spend months, even years, trying to rewind a story that was meant to end. But the Stoic man? He doesn't rewind, he rewrites. Not to prove anything to her, but to prove everything to himself. This isn't just about heartbreak. It's about rebirth. About becoming the version of you that no longer settles, no longer chases, no longer asks for permission to walk away from what no longer serves him. This is your blueprint. Cold heart, clear mind, calm spirit. You don't get that by talking. You get it by choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over comfort, purpose over pain. So the next time she wonders how you moved on so fast, remember this: it wasn't fast, it was final. You didn't change for her, you changed after her. And now, you don't look back, because real men don't grieve forever, they rise. If this hits something real in you, if you're done being the version of yourself who gets broken instead of built, then this is your moment. Hit that like button, subscribe for more Stoic blessings, turn on notifications so you never miss another wake-up call, and drop a final comment below. I didn't lose her, I found me. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay free.